This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Happy Thursdays. We welcome you into Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM Channel 158. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. We are live, as always, in downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Nice to have the British Open.
Quite the opposite.
Already underway. Very true. But I know we're not supposed to say the Open Championship when we have a U.S. Open, right? We're supposed to call them the British as Americans?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, technically it is the Open Championship. You're right. And then it's the U.S. Open. I think are their official terms. But because, as you mentioned, we are pig-headed Americans and everything is centrist to us, I believe that the U.S. Open should be the Open Championship and this is the British Open. So
look at you. Jackson Suber, your round one leader, where things sit right now, 5 under. Is that how you say it?
I was just going to say who. Has anybody talked about this? Has anybody mentioned Suber at all as an option to win this thing? It's only the first round, but you always not hate, but you never really love it when it's one guy that nobody had. I wouldn't say nobody. Maybe somebody out there has him.
Well, you're probably feeling relatively good, though, about your boy Scotty Scheffler at the buy low price on him to an extent. 2 under for a leader that's 5 under is pretty good start.
Yeah, I mean, he's not out of it, right? You can't win it in the first round, but you can definitely lose it, and he has not at least lost it, which is a very good thing because the other guy that I've got, not out of it either, Chris Goddard up for the day is at even, but Scotty got off to a good start, fell back a little bit there. You like that they're in contention and just not out of it in the first round. Matt Fitzpatrick's not out of it, but not the start that I think a lot of people expected for the very popular golfer. But we'll see if Scotty can pull this off. Among some other big names, I know that there's some Suber, Cootie near the top that have not, I think, been names we expected. But cream usually rises, and I'm sure by the time we get to Sunday, we'll find a lot of familiar names at the top.
Still a couple, though. Bryson DeChambeau, Colin Morikawa, a couple of guys that have had pretty solid opening rounds. We'll talk more about the British Open a little bit later on in the show. We'll look at the updated leaderboard, some potential bets moving ahead to round 2 tomorrow. But let's set the table for everything else we have to come here today. Time for the rundown.
It's time for the top headlines and topics of the day. This is the Rundown.
Get a little second half reset for Major League Baseball season. Just one game on the card today before we get the full complement tomorrow. JVT will preview that game between the Mets and Phillies and also check in with our good friend Chris Jimenez, former MLB catcher, host of Sirius XM MLB Network Radio, for some of his thoughts on teams he thinks could either be a buy-in or fade team moving forward.
Yeah, and I think we definitely need to ask him about, I think, one of the bigger stories heading into the All-Star break, which is that of fatigue, and specifically for one Jacob Misiorowski. As a guy who was behind the plate, getting some insight onto how pitchers handle fatigue, what that means for them as they move forward, getting closer to your limit as a pro, and what that means for Misiorowski too. Be interesting to pick Chris's brain on that. And you know what? I think you're right. I think he is our friend.
I think so, too. We've developed that relationship.
He's going to be in the studio next week, from what I hear.
Yeah, rumor has it. And he's a Nevada guy. He lives out there in Reno. So
the
nice
wrong
to
kind
get
of
him
Nevada, but yeah.
down this direction. Also, talking season continues as we gear up for college football. We'll hear from coaches and players from both the ACC and Mountain West today. Thoughts on conference odds, team win totals, plus, as we got it underway yesterday, our Money Moves college football top 25 reveal will roll on today with teams ranked number 22 and number 23.
Are you happy? The top 25 is complete.
We finally got it done this morning. Yes. I would argue that I did the legwork of this thing.
You submitted one poll. I crafted 2, my own and ours.
You know how I know I did more work on this? You know how I know I did more work on this? That we, albeit in different orders, had the same top 25. There wasn't a team that I missed that you liked.
There was one, but I was lazy and I decided, you know what, let's just make this easy.
Wow.
You know which one it is?
I don't.
That's pretty, actually, I thought it was a glaring omission on your part.
You're lying.
No, I'm not. Glaring omission might be strong,
Who?
but
South Carolina?
You did not rank Clemson, same state.
What?
Yeah, what? Go look at your top 25.
Then why didn't no way. You're lying. Yes, I do.
I went through the whole thing.
Yes, I do.
Don't
You're
look at
lying.
it now. We're on the air.
You're lying. Well, you're lying. Okay, but we will kick things off here, of course, with the World Cup. It's not coming home. Sorry, England. Despite taking a 1-0 lead into the 85th minute, Argentina surged for yet another late-game comeback, engineered 2 goals in 7 minutes, including Lautaro Martinez game winner in stoppage time. They beat England 2-1. Argentina now, JVT, scores 11 total goals in the knockout rounds. 9 have come in the 79th minute or later.
Look, this is how this has been not only for Argentina, but also just for this tournament as a whole. I mean, these late goals have been absolutely tremendous. It's funny. There's the clip going around of Jude Bellingham saying something to Lionel Messi and Messi giving him like, okay. Now, I believe that was when it was still scoreless, so England did go up 1-0 after that moment. But either way, just the overall drama and theater of this entire thing has been tremendous to get the biggest players to perform in the biggest moments. And there was none bigger yesterday than Messi, assisting on both of those goals, pretty much cementing his status as the winner of the most valuable player of this tournament, or the winner of the Golden Ball. This is going to be something that I think is just, we're just waiting for the end of the last game to give that to Messi. He was brilliant again yesterday, and I do think that Thomas Tuchel deserves a little bit of blame for the way that they were performing at the end of that contest.
Well, let's hear what he had to say, Tuchel, when asked about his decisions not to make some substitutions at the end and if he believed he got it wrong.
Unfortunately and strangely enough, it marked then a complete momentum switch in the game. Argentina played with more risk, played with more rhythm. Played with a feeling maybe that they have nothing to lose anymore, which freed them up and hold us back, because we obviously played suddenly with a feeling that we have a lot to lose. So we dropped immediately back into a deep block, which is also not a problem, but we could not. We struggled to stay active in that deep block, and we struggled to defend crosses in the deep block, and we struggled to get physical on the runners into the box.
So that was actually his answer when asked about, what happened after his team went up 1-0. And I did think that's interesting, right, that the momentum shifts the other direction, even though you're the team that scored the goal. But clearly playing prevent defense isn't going to work for you.
That's 100% it. So you can talk about, hey, all of a sudden, they got aggressive and momentum went in their favor. Well, momentum is movement, and they were moving because they were pressuring and you were doing nothing. And so that, to me, is, you use the right term for us Americans, they played prevent defense. You go back and look, you see how far back they were playing, allowing Argentina to do whatever they wanted in terms of moving the ball, pressing forward, getting opportunities. I mean, you look over and over again about how many, I think twice, maybe 3 times did they hit the post at the end of that game. I mean, you were asking for trouble when you are playing the way that they did. And I'll set this one up because that goes into this, right? He was asked, you mentioned the substitutions. He was substituting defensive players as opposed to maybe still getting aggressive. And when asked about it afterwards, he was like, as soon as you lose, you get criticized. But it's more than that.
I believe that's just the nature of the game. As soon as you lose, you get criticized. It's just what it is. And you get criticized after. No one knows what would have happened if we made different decisions. So it makes no sense to engage in that and lose my head. I'm responsible for them. I took them, so I take the criticism. That's just the way it is.
He also added, JVT, of course we wanted to go for the second goal, but I didn't have the feeling that offensive substitutions would help. He said that.
I mean, come on now. It's funny. I was watching a lot of. I was texting our guy Alex Blowers, who is, I think, off today just because the 3 Lions lost. I think he had to take a day to recover.
Smart.
But
avoid having to deal with you face to face.
What do you mean? We're on the same side. We were on the same side. But I do think that when I was watching this, I was watching a lot of British media this morning, just trying to take it in to see what it was like. Boy, oh boy, they are not happy.
I'm sure.
Sack him. Sack him.
Well, this is now what? They've been trying to get back to the final since what year?
Let's see. I have 1966 was the time that they won it, right? And I think that was the last time.
And they haven't made it back to the final since 66.
Sure. I mean, look, here's the thing. This is also, from what I understand, Tuchel's first major tournament as head coach of the English side. So I don't know if you're going to go immediately to getting rid of him, considering that he made it to the semifinals. But this should be a lesson learned. And we see this in football, and we're going to talk about this in our American football when the season comes around. When these coaches just get tight and they start to just try to sit on a lead and pray that the clock can help them, as opposed to continuing to do what got you to the point in which you're holding a lead. Now, granted, the first half was ugly, and there was really no expected goals or anything like that, but you scored, you should have stayed aggressive, and I'd rather lose fighting than lose doing the way that you did, because you were just giving them opportunities. He mentioned not playing the crosses. They were getting plenty of crosses because you're playing so far back.
Yeah. They were passive just the whole time. And I think Zlatan Ibrahimovic said it in the postgame best that England just stopped playing, it felt like, after they scored that first goal. And it should be the polar opposite of that. You score the goal, you strike first, you should continue to attack. But hanging back and then seeing Lionel Messi, who's the best player in the world, even at 39 years old, consistently buzzing around, you knew something was going to happen. And this is a team that, we mentioned it off the top, has shown late in games they can come back over and over and over again. I mentioned how late some of these goals have come. Round of 32 against Cape Verde, score the game winner in the 111th minute. Against Egypt, they score those 3 goals quick to come back and win in the 92nd minute in stoppage time. Quarterfinals against Switzerland, 112th minute. And then, of course, yesterday, 92nd minute again in stoppage time. They are dangerous. You know they are capable of striking when they need to strike. They get it done. They now advance to the final yet again and try to go back-to-back for the first time since Brazil in 1962. If they could get it done, they'd be just the 3rd country to repeat. Spain, meanwhile, your reigning European champions, they are the favorites in this spot.
Are we just going to play this in game? Like this? Are these Argentinians going to do this? Do we just wait for Spain to go up 1-0 and then just in-game this bad boy?
Right.
And we should give credit, because we're talking a lot about the English side. Messi in those 2 passes, but specifically the last one, the crosser, that just goes over the English defender's head. I don't know who it was, but that was a brilliant cross over the middle that sets it up for the eventual game-winning goal. He was awesome and absolutely fantastic, and has been throughout this entire tournament. There's really no question about it. Minus 800.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned Golden Ball, but Golden Boot now tied for the lead in goals, tied for second in assists as well. He now also has 10 assists in the World Cup knockout stage for his career, which is 6 more than any other player in at least 60 years. Scored or assisted now in 11 straight World Cup games, which is also the longest streak on record. You would think at his age, maybe he would slow down. The fact that he's been playing in American soccer in MLS and not in some of those European leagues the last couple seasons, no. He is still at the peak of his game on the world stage. Okay, we got to step aside here on Money Moves, but we're just getting started. When we return, our Money Moves college football top 25 rolls on.
Do you want to tell our audience whether I was right or wrong?
I guess I didn't, but I do. You know what? I'm going to stand by it. I like Louisville more than Clemson anyways.
I'm never wrong. So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
It is just about college football season as we welcome you back here to Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM Channel 158. Alongside Jonathan Von Tobel, Stormy Buonantony with you. And with that in mind and various college football media days going on across the country this week, we have officially begun our reveal of the Money Moves college football top 25. Yesterday, we did our bottom 2 teams in 25. We had Houston coming in at 25th in our rankings, SMU at 24. Today, we're going to do 23 and 22. You ready to go?
Can we wait for like 5 minutes?
All right.
Just sit here in silence? Yeah, of course I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay, number 23 in the Money Moves college football top 25, the Iowa Hawkeyes. And you had them a little bit lower in your ranking than I did in mine, so we kind of found a middle with them here at number 23. 8-4 season last year, 9 when you add their ReliaQuest Bowl win over Vandy in there. 6-3 in the conference. They're 60-1 shot, 8th in the Big Ten. Obviously, we know how top-heavy this league is. 9-1 to make the CFP. Win total sitting 7.5, and it is slight juice to the over at -125, which is where I lean. If there's one thing you know about a Kurt Ferentz team is he is in the 28th year now with the Iowa Hawkeyes. They're going to have a great offensive line, D-line. They are going to have a defense that travels, and they're going to have questions at quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much the same team, just cut and paste every single year, just different names, and that really is why. So I had them 25th. They're barely inside of the top 25. And not to make the joke again, because I'm with you, I think it was reasonable. 26 just on the outside was Clemson for me. It was my debate of who would I include.
They were in one of
here.
my honorable mentions.
Yeah. But I would say this. I think for the most part, my question would just become, you mentioned your offensive line, and I think you deserve the benefit of the doubt if you're Kirk Ferentz in the way that he has operated with his offensive line. But still, look at the talent you lost. Only 2 starters back along the offensive line. Logan Jones was a 2nd-round draft choice. Bo Stevens was the 5th-round draft choice. Jennings Dunker was a 3rd-round draft choice. So you really have to assume that he's just going to, again, kind of revitalize this offensive line. Their defensive line, all 4 starters from last year, are gone. So that is going to be something where, again, do we just assume, and again, the track record would say he can probably get the most out of them, that's going to be the case. And, I don't know. Jeremy Hecklinski, Hank Brown, and then they do have this 4-star kid, Traden Bessinger, who, according to some reports, who is now on campus, could actually come in and maybe sneak in and steal this job if nobody really is going to pull away between Hecklinski and Brown for that job. So I would say that you're right. It's kind of like the same team, just cut and paste and then see what you're going to do with it. I think the question just becomes, how are you going to operate on your schedule outside of the 3-week stretch where it is absolutely brutal for them? September 26th to October 10th, at Michigan, home versus Ohio State, and at Washington.
Yeah.
All consecutively
But
after that.
Yep. No obvious loss on their schedule because in the Big Ten, no Oregon, no Indiana. They should start the year 3-0 with NIU, Iowa State, who lost all their talent to Penn State, and then Northern Iowa. At Minnesota, who they slaughtered last year 41-3. Host Wisconsin, who they shut out 37-0 last year. Northwestern, I think, on the road could be a test. I'm not really sure what they're going to be this year. Purdue couldn't log a Big Ten win last year. Illinois could be tough, but they've got lots of change too and a new quarterback. Nebraska, sans Dylan Raiola, and a 6.5 win total.
That's the reigning Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year that transfers in to play quarterback for those Cornhuskers, and Anthony Colandrea. Come on now.
Okay.
I'm with you. I agree. I don't know what they're going to do with it.
All this to say, I think it's a very winnable schedule.
Yeah.
One of my college football betting guide picks last year was over 7.5 on this win total, and I think we might end up there ultimately again. Historically, the last, 12 years now in non-COVID seasons, they have logged at least 8 wins, 7 in the regular season. So that's about the number that they are at year after year after year, averaging 8.7 wins over that time. I just think we get there again. I think this is another 8-win team. They're not going to be really contending for a Big Ten title, but they're going to be good enough.
Yeah, I would say so. I will be curious for week 2 for many different reasons when they take on Iowa State. The first of which is, like you said, there's like a ton of turnover for Iowa State. Have you, as a sideline reporter, have you had any rivalry games? I would assume you have, right?
Yeah, I had the Holy War, which we're not allowed to call it that anymore, but I've had BYU, Utah, and I've had ASU, Arizona.
Because my curiosity is Iowa State is largely just rebuilt with transfers. And so do you get into a rivalry game when a bunch of you are mercenaries just coming into a spot for the first time?
Rivalries in college football in general don't have
the same bird.
Yeah, the same juice they used to.
So you should be charged up for that. But I bring that up because we have seen at the beginning in this new transfer portal era, we have seen some teams that actually rebuild their teams like mostly through the transfer portal. Surprise some people early on just because you're not familiar with anything, right? I mean, you don't have anything on tape outside of we know what this coach likes to run, but you don't really have any of these guys. You don't have them together, obviously, and how they're going to be used. So you do wonder if maybe you find yourself in a little bit more of a dogfight early on in week 2. Either way.
You can pull the clip on me for this one, log it, save it. No. I don't think so. I don't see it.
I just do this offense,
I know rivalry games are weird, and I understand the argument of everything that you're saying, but
do they have a quarterback that can throw a forward pass?
Think about how excited I was last year for Mark Gronowski. Half of my handicap about why I liked Iowa so much was because of this quarterback that they brought in, and he still was like mid at best. Yeah. So I think either one of these guys can still do what Mark did last year, and if that's all you need to still get 8 wins, then I'm fine with it. Also, do want to remind you, as we get nearer to college football season, our college football betting guide will be out soon. You only get the guides, though, if you're a VSiN Pro subscriber, and we have our football season special going on right now. Get everything we have to offer here at the website through the Super Bowl for $175. You get the college football betting guide, the NFL betting guide that's already out now, and as we get set for like the NHL season and everything else, all of our content available at vsin.com. VSIN.com/subscribe is how you can come join us. Let's look now to our number 22 overall team in the Money Moves Top 25. The Boise State Broncos, first season in the new Pac-12. They are plus 170 favorites to win it after coming off 3 straight Mountain West titles, and this is basically the Mountain West 2.0 in a lot of ways. What this new Pac-12 is, gone are the days of Oregon and Washington and USC, right? This is a lot of very familiar opponents for Boise State.
It is, and it's a lot of familiar faces on this offense still. I mean, this is incredible how much they still retain at this point. Maddox Madsen is still playing college football for whatever reason. season, and I think he's a little bit more flawed, puts the ball in danger a little bit more than he gets criticized for, but still, obviously, he's familiar with the system. Behind him, you still have Sire Gaines. You still have Ridley that's back there, too, or Riley, excuse me, that led them in rushing with over 1,100 yards. I think it's 2 or 3 starters back along this offensive line. This should be a group that offensively is everything they were a season ago. So you can kind of expect the exact same thing. And on defense, similar to what we've talked about with Iowa in the sense of, yeah, look, there's some missing pieces at the 3 levels. You're still looking at a team that has largely churned out consistent, good defensive groups year in and year out. And in a Mountain West 2.0, 1.5, whatever you want to call it, they should still be the cream of the crop out there, and it's annoying, but you should largely expect similar success here at this point for Boise State.
It's a defense, too, that took a step last year from 60th in the country in 2024 to 39th last year. Yes, they had a couple holes to fill. Ty Benefield hurts probably the most, who's their best safety. He's at LSU now, but they did bring in Roman Tillman from South Dakota, who, yes, will be facing a level up in competition, but you feel confident in the skill set. A lot of pass breakups for his career, but, I mean, as a whole, they're always good at forcing turnovers. They have their edge rushers back. They're going to be good on defense. So with all of the continuity you have on offense, with the exception of the wide receiver core that, quite frankly, wasn't all that great last year either, right? Like, we had a lot. They weren't playing catch. They were playing drops out there a lot for Boise State offensively. I think even with a new batch of receivers, you're feeling pretty good about what you have altogether for a full complement for Boise State. Again, from a price point, plus 170 favorites in the conference. If you think they can be that G6 team that cracks into the college football playoff, plus 450 on the yes for them. They're our highest ranked G6 team entering the season. National championship 500-1, but the win total only at 7.5, minus 136 to the over. The juice appropriate. Did that number surprise you a little bit on the win total?
You thought it was going to be higher?
I thought it'd be 8.5.
Yeah, I think to an extent, I think with the juice, you kind of get to the point where it should be. I think of the bets because we're trying to talk about these from the perspective of, all right, like what bet would you make? I know it's plus 170 in July, but sit back and wait till the season's about to start. I don't see any reason why plus 170 to win the Pac-12 isn't something you can play.
Sure. And they are the third shortest conference favorite in FBS entering the season. Miami and Texas Tech, the only ones shorter in their respective leagues. So they are a big favorite for what it is. Open the season at Oregon. So we love that.
I'm going to say it's a loss.
I'm going to say, but I don't think it's going to be one of those, or do you think it will be one of those like crazy 50-7?
I don't know if it's like 50-7, but I do think we have seen, since their dalliance into the college football playoff and just at times when they have stepped up in competition, Boise State is very clearly one of the best groups of 6 programs right now and will be consistently. But there is I think a gap between them and, the rest of the powers. And so,
well, you'll see where we have Oregon ranked a little bit later on.
Correct. So you'll get that loss. Memphis, I think, is going to be a tricky spot at home, even though you get them. That's a like-rated opponent that you're going to have to face. And then some of these teams in the Pac-12, including your San Diego State Aztecs, they do have to make the trip.
End of the season, baby.
It's November 21st in Boise, so that'll be tough. It's not at the snap, but I do think that there are some. I guess what I'm saying is there's probably a couple more coin flips on this schedule than we're giving them credit for, or at least tougher matchups. I still think they can get to 8 wins and win the conference.
I think the snap is catching on, by the way, because yesterday I went to this head coaches cocktail hour thing. Fancy. All the coaches are speaking today for Mountain West Media Days, and someone asked me, he was like, "Oh yeah, have you been out to Snap?" And so they didn't say the Snap, they said Snap.
Did you tell them that I originated that?
I did not. I kept that in. But I unfortunately have not been there. That's kind of the one bummer about my role with ESPN is that they don't have a Mountain West contract. So anytime that I get to cover or have had the opportunity to cover Mountain West teams in the past and now Pac-12 because their deal is different as well, I never get to cover any of those teams at home. So we got to step aside here on Money Moves. Rolling along, though, when we return, Chris Jimenez, former MLB catcher, is going to join the program, talk through some of his expectations for certain teams in the second half and whether or not this stud pitcher can keep it up as we go through a long baseball season. We'll be right back.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Thursday edition of Money Moves rolling along live from Las Vegas, Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. The second half of the MLB season getting going tonight between the Mets and Phillies. Just one game today, but back in full force tomorrow. And as we try to predict what teams are going to do here the back half of the season, it pays to have a former MLB player on speed dial. Christian Menez joins us here on the Progressive Guest Line, former MLB catcher. You can catch him as a host of SiriusXM MLB Network Radio as well. And while I'll say for a lot of people during All-Star break, it was time to, take a load off, rest, relax, recover. You were out here coaching Little League to District 1 championship, I recall. Like, what's going on here? Congratulations to your sons.
Yeah, thank you. I'm hopefully going to get a chance to come say hi to you guys here in the next couple of days because I'll be in Las Vegas next week for the state tournament. I'm really excited. For 68 years of my kids' Little League, which is how long our Little League's been around, only 4 teams from our Little League have ever won the District 1 championship. And I'm pretty lucky. I think it's coaching personally, but both of my boys have been 2 of those 4 years. And 2 of those years have been in the last 5 years total. So I'm really excited. These kids get an opportunity to go down there and play for a state championship and see if they can make something really special happen, because a Little League from our Little League has never gone to regionals, which is in San Bernardino the following week. So we'll see if it plays out that way, but I'm excited for these little guys. And once again, it has nothing to do with them and has everything to do with the coaches.
That's right. Every single time. I actually like to make fun of my dad because on my Little League team, he was a coach, but he doesn't like sports. So every time I see my old baseball picture, I'm like, what are you even doing on that team? Like, you don't even know anything about baseball. And he does not like that. All right, let's talk about what we're excited for as well at the professional level, the second half of the season getting underway. I wanted to pick your brain as a catcher here, Chris, because the big story, I think, or at least one of them, is Jacob Misiorowski. Hey, I can't make the last start. I've got fatigue here. He called it general fatigue. Didn't really think it was anything big. But he is inching closer to the most innings he's pitched as a professional, both in the minors and at the major league level. Right. So what does that mean? Is that a big deal? How do guys like pitchers, how do they deal with fatigue, and should we be worried about Miz?
No, I don't think we should be worried really at all. I think the Brewers are going to do a very good job of managing his innings total the second half of the season anyway. I think this was something that was already kind of baked into it. He may have just sped up the process a little bit because he wasn't feeling great the last time out. Recovery is a big deal, and he's taken on a pretty hefty workload, to say the least, this first half of the season. The Brewers are in a position where they can afford to give him a couple of days off. With the trade deadline coming up, I would not be shocked. They already made a move yesterday that kind of surprised everybody in acquiring Lance McCullers, who's got disgusting stuff. It's staying on the field has been his biggest issue. So, again, another depth piece there. I think they're going to be really smart. They'll be very diligent with him. They will have constant communication with Jacob Misiorowski and how he's feeling. And don't be surprised if they continue to give him extra days off in between starts. That innings limit is a big deal, especially for young phenoms like this. Knowing full well that they hope to make a push in the playoffs in October, he's going to take on even a heavier workload. So trying to manage those innings from now until October is going to be really interesting, but it shouldn't at least be anything that really shocks anybody to this point.
So would it then maybe cause us to look anywhere else in National League Cy Young, or do you think the workload would be enough that he would still be able to win this thing?
That's actually a really good question. And I'm going to give you another name that we should probably be keeping our eye on. And I think his name has kind of become front and center here because of an all-star, maybe a snub of his all-star appearance, and that's Zach Wheeler. Now, I think right now it's Jacob Misiorowski's award to lose. But if something were to happen and they were to put him on the injured list and he'd miss, from 15 to 30 days, I think you could see Christopher Sanchez's name come in. Paul Skeens really isn't going anywhere, even though he's had a very interesting year, to say the least. And I know he was a big favorite coming into it. But I think Zach Wheeler's name is going to be front and center here this second half of the season. If you dig into his numbers and look at how he wasn't on the All-Star team to begin with, it kind of scratches your head. And then the fact that he was passed over 2 and 3 other times besides that, and when he finally got that opportunity, he was like, no, I'm good. I'm not going to be your fifth wheel. I'll just take my 4-day vacation and take it to the house.
We can get some bang for your buck if that does end up happening, 22-1 on Zach Wheeler, which leads me down the road of, I think, just a National League conversation in general. Obviously, the Dodgers are at the forefront of that conversation. But as you look through the National League, if not the Dodgers, then who? Like, would it be the Brewers? Would it be the Phillies? Is there a team in particular that stands out to you that could make a surge in the second half?
I really like the Phillies still. I've liked them from the beginning. I actually picked them to play the Dodgers in the National League Championship Series this year at the beginning of the season. I think their team it's loaded with stars first and foremost, and they have a three-headed monster of Jesus Luzardo, Zach Wheeler, and Christopher Sanchez, and all three of those guys are in the top 10 right now in almost every pitching category in baseball, let alone the National League. What do they always say? Wins in October, it's good pitching, and good pitching beats good hitting. The Phillies have good pitching. I wouldn't be shocked to go out there and see if they were to require another reliever. Yohan Duran's one of the best at the back end of the bullpen to do it. They shored up that bullpen a significant amount, and it's been something that they've had to lean on here the last 2 weeks in particular. But this offense is way too good, and that place, we saw it in the Home Run Derby. The All-Star game by the 8th inning, most of those folks were out because there were no Phillies left in the game at that point. But this place is one of the best places to play, whether it's an All-Star game, a Home Run Derby, and let alone the playoffs. The place is electric. And trust me, I think it would be really, really interesting to see the Dodgers go in there in October and see what happens if those two end up finally making that final 2 spot in the National League.
All right, let's go to the American League because there's 2 teams that we keep bringing up on this program, and I'll give you the choice of one or other, or maybe you like them both. But the Tigers and the Red Sox, they seem to be 2 of the better stories now heading into the break. The Red Sox obviously have won 9 straight, swept 3 straight series, first time since they've done that since 1977. The legitimacy of both of these teams, but specifically, who'd you rather have here in the big picture? Could the Tigers come back and maybe even win this division, or the Red Sox a legitimate threat with how good this pitching has been?
Yeah, the pitching for the Red Sox side of things has been unbelievable. They have turned themselves into definite sellers, into potentially even definite buyers at this point. Now there's 2 weeks left until the trade deadline, and a lot can happen between now and then. But if you're asking me between one of these 2 teams, I'm going to take the Tigers 100 out of 100 times.
Wow.
Their offense is better. Their starting rotation is just as good, maybe slightly below what the Red Sox have done. But their bullpen's a little bit better. It's deeper, I guess is a better way to say it. And they play in a far easier division to actually go ahead and do something in. As we saw last year with the Cleveland Guardians, no division lead is safe in this division, because if you can come back from 15 and a half games at any point during the season, to me, that tells me that I'm not counting anybody out, especially a team that is as talented as the Tigers, and they're starting to finally figure it out. It was just a matter of time. You just hope that they didn't get so far back that it was really unrealistic and put an insane amount of pressure, because it's obvious why nobody comes back from 15 and a half games back every year, because it's really hard to do. And the Tigers are a really interesting team in the next 2 weeks. I think there's a way that they could potentially sell and buy at the same time and still be very, very competitive. They have arguably the biggest trade chip on the market in Tarik Skubal, and that's a big dark cloud looming over this organization. What do they do? I think there's a way that they could trade him for some really good talent coming back that's either major league ready or really close to it, that could help them here this second half make a push for not only division, but to make a run in October, because I think they missed out on that last year, and I think that's a sour note in this organization.
The Yankees are the short shot in the American League, followed by the Rays and Mariners. Would you rather have one of those teams or the field in the American League?
That's a great question. What's funny is, just for the sake of the conversation, I'm probably going to take the field, even though I really like the Rays. The Yankees, to me, are built for October. And this is going to sound crazy. I still think the Texas Rangers are really good. Their pitching staff is really, really good as well. They now have an all-star closer in Jacob Latz, who was supposed to be their 5th starter to start the year and got bumped out because of Kumar Rocker. So they go out and find an addition in the bullpen. This offense is starting to wake up a little bit. Plus, they're young. They're hungry. They've got to keep some guys healthy. Wyatt Langford, Corey Seager. I'm not willing to give up on the Rangers making a run at this thing, because they have the type of pitching that can silence a Yankee offense. The Rays, to me, are still, and I mean this in like the nicest way possible, they're just too unproven when it comes to October. I know they made the playoffs the World Series a few years ago, and there were some mistakes made there, but I think they're maybe a year ahead of really, really, really being that team that everybody looks is like, holy smokes, man, this team is really good. They are really good. They just have a bunch of no-name guys doing it. And when it comes to playoff time, you almost wonder, who would you rather trust? The name brand guys, or the guys that maybe not many people have heard of?
Chris, really great breakdown today. Thank you so much for this. And pumped to have you in studio next week. Good luck for the kids.
I'm so excited. It's going to be so awesome. I can't wait to go down there. It's only going to be 108, so we're ready for that. And I think these kids are ready to rock.
The sunblock, hats, and Oakley's ready. That's what you got. Thank you, Chris. We'll talk to you next week.
That's right. You got it, guys. Take care.
Again, make sure you check out all of the work over at SiriusXM MLB Network Radio. Really appreciate him lending the time. Plus 750 on the Rangers in the American League.
Yes, indeed. I like that. You know me, I like this Rangers team, and we have breaking news in the WNBA.
Now, that's what you call a tease. We got to step aside when we return. In addition to that breaking news, how about that game last night? What a streak the Golden State Valkyries are on. We'll discuss that and more when we return.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Winner Circle Proxy and VSiN are giving away 2 awesome prize packages that'll put a couple lucky fans into the world's biggest football contest for free. One winner will receive a $1,000 entry into the Circa Survivor contest. Another gets a $1,000 entry into Circa Million. Both winners, though, will receive a full season of Winner Circle Proxy service, a studio tour right here at VSiN, and a free month of VSiN Pro. Enter by Sunday, August 2nd for your chance to win. Head over to winnercircleproxy.com/VSiN to learn more and enter today. That's winnercircleproxy.com/VSIN. News this morning, by the way, as we welcome you back here to Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. The Liberty had some mechanical issues that stranded them on the tarmac for a reported 12 hours. So tonight's game in Dallas, no longer tonight, JVT.
Boo. That was like the lone game. I shouldn't say the lone game. The other game today has some value to it, but was actually really looking forward to that, to see what this was going to be. That was a very high-stakes game, 2 playoff teams. One, Dallas, has been, of course, kind of rising up in terms of their power rating, but also just in the standings. So it's going to mean a lot. Liberty, as we know, an established power, so that stinks. Was very much looking forward to it. Now off the board.
Rescheduled to Monday night. Tip-off will be at 7 local. Still TBD on the broadcast details, but just FYI, tonight's game, Liberty and Wings, reset for next Monday. You mentioned, though, the other game on the slate. Did you have anything for Portland, Washington today?
Well, it's just worth pointing out that for Washington, this is a team that has been playing some pretty good basketball. We actually, if you remember, we had discussed their most recent matchup that was against the Toronto Tempo, as you have called them, My Tempo. My Tempo did not show up. Got beat down 79-62 in this Mystics group. They haven't been covering numbers, but they've been winning games. They've won 4 out of the last 5. They've covered just 2 of those, but it all matters because they're one of these few teams that we've talked about that are floating around that 8 seed. And as they continue to win some of these games, power rating wise, maybe just a little too high. They're only 11-10 against the spread on the season. As I mentioned, despite being 4-1 ATS, they're actually 2-3 ATS in those 5 games. 4-1 straight up and 1-4 ATS. Sorry, I'm all over the place. Whole point here being is that they're 6.5-point favorites. They've been bet up. 162.5 is the total. Just curious to see if maybe we've gotten a little too high on Washington. That seems to have been the case. But Mystics are playing some pretty good basketball at this point right now in the midst of a little road trip. And what's really going to be the test is, and I don't know if we'd have to ask a guy like Doug Kazarian, who keeps better track of this, if these teams fall into some of these look-aheads. Because while you do get, and every single one of them is important while you're right there on the fringe of the standings, they have a back-to-back setup coming up in Golden State against the Valkyries. So would you look ahead to that potentially if you're Washington, just knowing how good that team has been playing?
Well, speaking of good basketball, exactly. Nobody's been better recently than Golden State. They stayed hot in the W last night, handed Indiana an 88-75 win on the road, 8th straight win now. They're 7-1 ATS over that stretch. The 8 wins, by the way, tied for the longest win streak that we've seen in the league all season long to this point. And this really goes back over a month now, though, what Golden State has been able to do. 12-2
straight up. 10-4 against the spread. You said this in passing, so I went back and looked. They are 3-11. I always do this. 11-3 to the under in their last 14 games as well. So since June 9th, they lead the league in defensive rating, outscoring opponents by 8.5 points every 100 possessions. They're first in defensive rating, averaging giving up an average 97.1 points every 100 possessions. And so they're climbing up the standings. And we talked about this with Mike Palm last Friday. They can bring this up again tomorrow with him. Remember that. Last Thursday I said we should bring something up with Mike, and then I forgot, and then we never got to it. But this is one worth bringing up, too. 9-1, the Valkyries are to win this thing. And I still contend that the Aces are a little bit more flawed, especially on defense. I know that A'ja Wilson's been great, but you do wonder if even we talked about this. I bet them at 12-1 last week. And I do think that still, even at 9-1, the way they're playing defensively is incredible. And that maybe that still might be worth playing.
Well, and considering that this is, we've talked about it in passing, that this is a league that is on pace to be the highest scoring that we've seen ever in the WNBA. For them to be as stout defensively as they are, and for us to say, yeah, they're an under team now, I think says a lot for where things are. They're great 3-and-D style, the 3-point numbers too, 10.6, most in the W. So you're hitting your long threes, and then you're defending well. It's a pretty nice recipe for success. Meanwhile, you know who wasn't hitting her threes last night? Your girl, Caitlin Clark, 1 of 8 from 3-point range, and that's been a trend since she's returned from injury. The 3 games since coming back, she's averaging 11.3 points per game, 35% from the floor, 16% from 3, just 3 of 19 from beyond the arc. But people aren't talking about that nearly as much as they are the woulda, shoulda, coulda foul that she wanted last night.
I mean, like that, and just like it was a foul. And I believe it was you and Mike have talked about her a couple of times. I don't know if it came over on the air, but Stacey Dale even commented on it on Twitter. It was like, yeah, that's a foul. She deserves to get that foul call because it is one. Having said that, the reaction is insane. The second there's a stoppage in play, because there is no foul called, so they actually go back the other way. She plays defense. The second the foul is called in Indiana, she sprints over to the ref and is screaming in her face. Should have been teed up. Absolutely should have been teed up.
She got a warning.
Yeah, she got a warning. And then afterwards, I can't help but notice, she just sounds kind of whiny here, but here she was talking about her blow up with the official.
Caitlin, can you take me through that second quarter play with Stokes that made you upset, and then you hopped into the back?
Quad. Like, that hurts. Like, the ref can't miss that, and then I have to play with a contusion in my leg the rest of the game. Like, it's ridiculous. Can't miss calls like that.
Did they give you an explanation right after when you?
She said I initiated the contact, which is fine. You can't knee me in the leg, knock me over.
It's pretty funny. I would just say her 3-point shooting, you mentioned it, has not been great this year. The Fever are one of those teams that have been thrown out there. They're on our little list because there's a really big drop-off on the odds. They're around 20-1 to win in the WNBA Finals. I don't think they're a legitimate threat. You saw Sophie Cunningham sitting there with her. She's been pretty good from 3 in recent games, but this team's, I think, pretty flawed, and I think I'd rather take my crack with, like, the aforementioned Dallas Wings or others. But it is just worth pointing out that this continues to be a story. And the WNBA officiating is pretty bad. She should have gotten a foul call, and that's been one of the things that if you follow the league, people talk about consistently.
Well, and I think that's why she's ticked off. That's why Stephanie White defends her the way that she is because Stephanie White, her head coach, by the way, I was just laughing at her saying, I got a contusion on my leg.
So
you have a maybe bruise?
Yes, but at the same time, as somebody pointed out, that contusion went away and that limp went away real quick once that play was over. She got to go and give her 2 cents to the ref.
How about today looking ahead in Summer League as well as that rolls on here in Vegas, a slew of games. Today's a day you're not actually going to be out there, though, in person.
Oh, buddy, today's a big day.
So big day, and you're going to be busy at the Palms for the Mountain West instead of going out there?
Unfortunately, due to calls, we do have a job to do. Here's the thing. Why it's a big day, the Atlanta Hawks are in action, Storm. We need the Hawks to get a win here. That's it. I just need them to solidify their spot as a 4-0 team. Numbers for today, especially with this one. Hawks, a 1.5-point favorite, total 183.5. So I think they're going to be resting a couple of guys. Again, they have been actually, the Hawks, pretty injured throughout the Summer League for a Summer League team. So I think that has been maybe part of the reason why we're seeing this. But they have performed pretty admirably despite the fact that guys have been in and out of the lineup. So this is big for me. Need a 1. Look, and even at 3-1, they can still make it in. Their point differentials well into the double digits. Still feel pretty good about them making it. But you'd like this. Although, I find myself conflicted. Because they do have a Memphis Grizzlies future as well for the NBA Summer League. So a victory here, maybe get them both to 3-1 and get them both in. And then
so is this a best case scenario or a worst case scenario that they have to play each other?
50% of the playoff field in pocket, if that were the case. No, but this is one that I'd rather have the Hawks, considering the larger payout. And just keep an eye on it. I believe, and I would just double check here, believe Cam Boozer should be out there today. But always make sure that these guys are going to be available, only because you just don't know. And we're obviously, they've played the Grizzlies a lot of Summer League if you include the Salt Lake City Summer League. So you want to make sure that they're going to be out there.
That's a great note, though. Are there any other players, like big name notable players that have been ruled out. For the rest, we know the Wizards and AJ Debonsa, he's done now, but anybody else of note that people should be aware of?
I mean, I would keep an eye on for the Nets, for example. Michael Brown Jr. is going to be a name that is definitely worth following because he has been very good, and you do wonder if he is going to be done for the NBA Summer League. But per 36, we're talking about 31.6 points, 2.6 rebounds, 7 assists per game. Again, this is a per 36 stat, so per 36 minutes it stretches out a little bit, but he has been really, really good. So watch out for Michael Brown Jr. as well. And the Nets find themselves in contention for a playoff spot here, too. They're 3.5-point favorites. There is no information that I've seen that says that he is not going to play, but you just want to keep an eye out for it because those are some of the big names that will impact some of these point spreads for sure.
Man, I'm still just thinking about the Liberty sitting on the tarmac for double-digit hours.
I mean, of course you would. You're a travel freak.
Does that not sound awful? Like, granted, they at least are on a
so
charter
what's the policy?
flight.
Like,
They've
why
got
can't you
food.
get off?
Well, I mean, they're on a charter, so I don't think they have like a terminal that they can just go into and sit around and eat and everything. They get bussed to the plane and they're just on the plane until they can leave. But on a standard flight, they're like, what is it, FAA guidelines that you can only be on the tarmac for so long before they have to take you back, and then you'll either sit there or deplane. But yeah, I've been in a lot of those situations, and it's not fun. It's not
double-digit hours?
No, not. I mean, at an airport, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I've had to sleep on the floor in Atlanta, which did not love. But yeah, travel delays are not fun, even when you're in the lap of luxury on a charter. Okay.
I've been on a charter plane before. It's not exactly a luxury, right? It's just like a normal plane.
Every seat's a first class seat.
Is it?
Yeah.
No, not the one I was saying.
So not a great charter flight for you.
UNLV Athletics have been in a tough spot.
Step aside here on Money Moves. When we return, kicking off hour 2 here on the program, we will update you on all things Open Championship. Still plenty of college football discussion to come and more. Stick around.